Have you ever wondered why we sometimes behave the way we do? Welcome to the intriguing world of psychology, a realm that holds answers to many such questions. It's a fascinating field, deeply woven into our everyday lives, impacting our thoughts, actions, and interactions. In this journey, we're going to explore some captivating psychological facts that steer our behavior, often without us even realizing it. We'll delve into the mystery of mirror neurons and how they shape our empathy. We'll scrutinize the confirmation bias that influences our beliefs. We'll unravel the cognitive dissonance that stirs our inner conflicts. We'll discover the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, the Zeigarnik effect, the halo effect, and the intriguing Dunning-Kruger effect. We'll also touch upon the placebo effect, bystander effect, selective attention, fragile self-esteem, mere exposure effect, happiness set point, and the Pygmalion effect. So buckle up for a fascinating journey into the human mind. Let's delve into the intriguing world of psychology and explore some fascinating psychological facts. Did you know that we have mirror neurons in our brains that allow us to mimic the actions of others? This fascinating revelation came from the world of neuroscience, where researchers discovered that certain neurons in our brains actually fire or activate when we observe someone else's actions. These are aptly dubbed mirror neurons. They are like the brain's inbuilt mimicking system, enabling us to learn, empathize, and connect with others. So, when you watch someone laugh heartily, your mirror neurons fire up, making you feel a similar joy. Now let's imagine a scenario. You're at a party, and you notice someone laughing at a joke. Your mirror neurons kick in, and you find yourself laughing along, even if you didn't quite catch the punchline. You're not consciously deciding to laugh. It's your mirror neurons at work, creating a sense of shared experience and fostering social bonding. But what happens when our mirror neurons interact with our biases? This brings us to a psychological concept known as confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our tendency to favor and seek out information that aligns with our existing beliefs and ignore or discount information that contradicts them. It's like having a pair of tinted glasses that colors our perception of reality. Let's go back to our party scenario. Suppose you believe that the person telling the joke is always funny. You'll likely laugh, even if the joke isn't that great. Your confirmation bias is at work here, aligning your behavior with your existing belief. So, what's the connection between mirror neurons and confirmation bias? Well, our mirror neurons can amplify our confirmation biases. If we see someone acting in a way that confirms our beliefs, our mirror neurons may lead us to mimic that behavior, further reinforcing our biases. In essence, our mirror neurons and confirmation bias work together, shaping our interactions and perceptions. They play a significant role in our social behavior, learning processes, and even our decision-making. Understanding these concepts can help us better navigate our social world and challenge our biases. These two concepts play a significant role in how we interact with others and perceive the world around us. So, the next time you find yourself laughing along at a joke or favoring certain information, remember it's your brain's mirror neurons and confirmation bias at work. Scene script. Have you ever experienced a clash of thoughts and feelings? This is known as cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is a psychological theory coined by Leon Festinger in the mid-20th century. It's the mental discomfort we experience when we hold two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or attitudes. Imagine you're an environmentalist who loves the convenience of single-use plastics. That internal conflict you feel? That's cognitive dissonance. This discomfort often pushes us to resolve the inconsistency to regain mental harmony. We might change our behavior, justify it, or even ignore information that heightens the dissonance. For instance, you might decide to stop using plastic straws or convince yourself that one person's usage won't make a significant impact. Now, let's shift gears to a phenomenon you've probably experienced without realizing. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, also known as the frequency illusion. Have you ever learned a new word, then suddenly it seems to pop up everywhere? That's the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon at play. Named after a radical West German group that made headlines in the 1970s, this phenomenon is actually a bias in how we process information. Once we encounter new information, our brains subconsciously keep an eye out for it, and as a result, we believe it's occurring more frequently. In reality, The frequency of that information hasn't changed, just our awareness of it. This is why after buying a red car, you might suddenly notice red cars all around you. Or after learning about a historical event, it seems to be referenced in every book or TV show you encounter. Cognitive dissonance and the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon are just two examples of how our minds work to process the world around us. They reveal how we try to maintain internal consistency, and how our awareness can be heightened by new information. So next time you feel that internal conflict, or see that new word popping up everywhere, you'll know what's happening. It's your brain doing its thing, navigating through this complex world. These psychological phenomena greatly influence how we process information and make decisions. Do you find it easier to remember tasks that you've left unfinished? That's the Zeigarnik effect at work. This psychological phenomenon is named after Bluma Zeigarnik, a Russian psychologist who noted a curious tendency in our memory. She found that people often remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than those they've completed. Let's consider a scenario. You're reading a mystery novel and you have to put it down halfway through. What happens? You're likely to remember the plot details of that unfinished story far better than the ones you've completed. That's the Zeigarnik effect in action. It's a mental reminder that nudges us saying, "Hey, you've got something left to finish here." But why does this happen? One theory suggests that unfinished tasks create a state of tension in our minds, which keeps them at the forefront of our memory. Once the task is completed, the tension is relieved and the memory starts to fade. Now let's shift gears to another psychological phenomenon, the halo effect. This term was coined by psychologist Edward Thorndike. It's a bias where our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. Imagine meeting someone who is exceptionally attractive. Due to the halo effect, you might also perceive them as more intelligent, kind, and funny. It's as if their physical attractiveness casts a halo of positive traits, but it's essential to remember that this effect can lead us to make erroneous judgments about people. In a nutshell, the Zeigarnik effect and the halo effect show us how our brains make shortcuts to process information. On one hand, the Zeigarnik effect helps us remember what we need to do, while on the other hand, the halo effect can lead us to form inaccurate impressions about people. These effects are not inherently good or bad. They are simply tools our brain uses to navigate through the complexities of life. By understanding these effects, we can become more aware of our mental processes and work towards making more informed decisions. These effects shape our memory and perception of others in profound ways. As we continue to delve into the fascinating world of psychology, remember that awareness is the first step towards understanding. Have you ever noticed that sometimes people with less knowledge about a subject tend to overestimate their abilities? This is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Named after social psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, this phenomenon explains why individuals with limited knowledge or skills in a certain area often have a falsely inflated self-perception of competence. Imagine a novice chess player who wins a few games and suddenly believes they're the next Magnus Carlsen, or an amateur cook who, after successfully baking a cake, considers themselves a potential MasterChef contestant. This isn't just overconfidence, it's a cognitive bias, where the individual lacks the self-awareness to recognize their own incompetence. But don't be too harsh on them, or yourself if you ever fall into this trap. It's a common human condition and can be rectified with self-awareness, feedback, and continuous learning. Now, let's shift gears to another fascinating psychological phenomenon, the placebo effect. This is a testament to the power of belief and expectation. It occurs when a person's physical health improves or their symptoms lessen after receiving a treatment that is, in reality, inactive. Consider this. A patient suffering from a headache takes what they believe to be a painkiller, but is, in fact, a sugar pill. Yet their headache dissipates. That's the placebo effect in action. The patient's belief in the treatment, their expectation of relief, triggers real biological changes in their body. In both the Dunning-Kruger effect and the placebo effect, our minds play a critical role. In the former, a lack of knowledge can distort our self-perception, leading us to overestimate our abilities. In the latter, our beliefs and expectations can influence our physical health, illustrating the profound influence of our minds on our bodies. These psychological effects can have significant impacts on our self-perception and health. As we journey further into the intriguing world of psychology, let's remember the power of our minds and the importance of self-awareness and learning. We've explored some fascinating psychological facts today, but what do they all mean for us? Well, these insights into our minds lay the foundation for understanding human behavior. Mirror neurons, for instance, help us empathize with others, while confirmation bias reveals how our preconceived notions can cloud our judgment. Cognitive dissonance and the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon show us the internal struggles we face when our beliefs are challenged and how frequency illusion can make us see patterns where there aren't any. The Zeigarnik and halo effects, meanwhile, highlight how unfulfilled tasks occupy our minds and how initial impressions can be misleading. The Dunning-Kruger and placebo effects provide insight into our overconfidence in our abilities and the power of belief in healing, respectively. These psychological phenomena aren't just abstract concepts. They're at play every day, influencing our thoughts, feelings, and actions. By understanding these psychological phenomena, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.